Okay, Eli, we're ready for you.
Okay. I'm Eli Gaisford, and this is my presentation on distracted driving. Now I've worked for two companies now, Northern Natural Gas and Schlumberger. It's an oil field service company. Both involve driving, and both of them give pretty thorough defensive driving classes. One thing that was common between both of them was the need for not having distractions while you're driving. So what is a distraction while you're driving? Well, one thing is, if you adjust your radio dial, that's a distraction. You take your attention away from the road for just a little bit. If you have somebody in the passenger seat, you talk to them, that's a distraction. A lot of people think, well, I can do two things at once. Well, no, you can't. Computers can't do it either. Yes, you can have multiple programs open in memory, but you can only work on one active program at that time. People are the same way. You can have many things on your mind, but you're only actively thinking about one thing. So if you take your attention away from the road, you're distracted while you're driving. The main thing I'm going to focus on is texting, using your phone while you're driving. And the reason I'm going to focus on that is that's actually more dangerous than drinking while you're driving. Drinking while you're driving, a lot of people think that that's really bad because you'll fall asleep or something. Well, they actually pay more attention to the road than somebody who's texting or talking on their phone while they're driving. So to illustrate that point, I'd like to meet John Gordon, 35 years old. He was an officer in Ohio. He's sitting there with his 11-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter. He died instantly while he was riding his motorcycle because a young driver was on his phone, didn't see him, hit him head on. This is Erica Forney. She was 9 years old. She was riding her bike in front of her house. Her neighbor was backing up. She was just finishing up a phone conversation. Didn't see her. When she hit Erica, Erica flew 15 feet and landed on her neck. She lived 2 days until she died on Thanksgiving. This is Callie Ann Murray. She was 2 years old, walking home from the park with her mom. While they were walking home, a teenage driver was texting, hit both of them. Callie died, and her mom was in a coma for a while and eventually lived. So that's a pattern that needs to change. In 2011, there were 390,000 people that were either killed or injured in a crash involving distracted driving. Most of those they involved a cell phone, and that's from distraction.gov. It's a government website that is trying to change this pattern. Like I said, it's actually more dangerous than drunk driving. And I'm not the one saying that. This is a study done by Strayer, Struce, and Crouch, a comparison of the cell phone driver and the drunk driver. There's a link to that on the distraction.gov website if you want to read that. If you're on the phone, you're actually 4 times more likely to cause an accident. That's Monash University did a study on that. So the next time you get behind the wheel and you go to pick up that phone, think about what if Kelly or Erica was your daughter. Texting accounts for 18% of distracted fatalities from distraction.gov. Now, these are all behind the wheel fatalities. 18% of them were texting. Cell phone use while driving actually decreases your focus by 37% from the road, based on a study by Carnegie Mellon. Now that goes back to what I was saying, where you can only do one thing at a time. 37% it decreases your focus. So you're actually 23 times more likely the severity of the crash is actually 23 times worse, based on a study by the U.S. Department of Transportation. But the change is coming. The laws are already started. Most states already ban texting while you're driving. A lot of states already have laws against distracted driving. If you're texting while you're driving and you cause a fatality, then you can be charged with up to murder. So, another thing to keep in mind. So, what can you do? Well, the first thing is to recognize your limitations. Know that you can only do one thing at one time. Once you realize that, then you can go to distraction.gov and take that pledge. That pledge, it's going to say, I pledge not to use my phone while I'm driving. But it's also, if I'm in the car with somebody that they're using their phone, I'm going to tell them to put their phone down. 40% of teens admit to being in the car while somebody was driving and using their phone, based on a study by Pew Research Center. So it's pretty widespread. Are there any questions?
I know drunks are safer drivers, our neighbor down the street, I don't think he drives over 45 ever on the highway. It's because he's drunk.
Ex-neighbor?
Ex-neighbor, carefulest driver you've ever seen.
Yeah, he doesn't get pulled over for going too slow.
He probably should. They test his blood alcohol and he'd be.
You hear about that? Yeah, I heard that. You know, seen every ridiculous cops in this town ain't alive. We got a full